Perfect. So today we're going to talk about portfolios. I'm going to start with some research that we did in the past, to be honest, 2 years and a half, going through the internet, documenting all of the different UX writing portfolios that we can find, publishing them on a weekly basis on our UX writing newsletter. And we had this project that we decided just to take all of our previous data from this year's, which is like 126 weeks in a row, and to take all of the relevant portfolios that we've published in them, because we try to do a portfolio every week, but to be honest, we found only 70 portfolios eventually, which is not only, it's a lot, I believe, but we published it as an article, and it went live. So I'm going to share with you first of all, that. So in 2019, I published this article, Best UX Writing Portfolios, and I really recommend you to check it out. This one is older, but to get started with your portfolio, I really recommend to start with getting inspired by others, like what are other people are doing, and so on and so on. Now, many people told me, wait, so I'm looking at this portfolio right now by Jenna, but how she did it, like which tools Jenna used in order to build this portfolio. I'm not a developer. I don't know how to use it. So this is a challenge that many writers have these days. Many writers have these days because they don't know how to build a website, and that's okay. Not everyone knows how to build a website, and to be honest, it's not our role to build websites. We're not web designers or web developers, and setting up a website in 2021 is not that complicated, but it's not our role to know that. I'm using a tool named Webalizer that helped me to understand and identify what technologies each website is built on. So it's a Chrome extension. I just press it when I'm in a portfolio website, and then I can see that this website was built on Wix. So when I'm looking on this website right now, I can see, okay, so this is the capabilities that I can have with the Wix website. I will check how it looks on mobile to see that it's responsive, because I know that Wix might have that problem. I'm going to talk about the differences between the different tools that you can use later on. But that's what I do. I'm just going to use Webalizer. I'm probably going to use the inspect tool just to see how it looks on mobile and to see if I like it or not. Sorry if you see the screen too small right now. It's just use the inspect tool. In order to use the inspect tool, just press the right click and then inspect if you're on Chrome, and then you could see how it looks on mobile and stuff like that. You can also look on the code if you want to, but you don't have to, and you don't need to. Anyway, that's about that. So this is the article that I just talked about. So that's the older article. Now, many people told us, wait, we really want to know what technologies this used on each portfolio. So we made your life a bit easier. And in the new article, we just did it for you and just analyzed what platforms they're using. So you could do your own statistic and see, maybe I need to use Squarespace, or maybe I will use Webflow or WordPress, and all of these words right now that maybe few of you know and maybe few of you don't know. And I will explain about the differences between each and every tool. So this is the new article. I really want you to check it out. Get inspired. I'm not going to dive into all of these portfolios websites. Maybe we're going to check one or two. So that's about that. We have also like winners over here. By the way, we have many past students here. Like, let's see. Sarah was our student. Lizzie. Mm, 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 mm. Christian. There are a few familiar names. Oh, Usher. Yeah, many people. So if you want to know how our past students structure their portfolios, just go to those websites and you'll see. So that's about that. Now, many of you ask me, how can we structure the drill down exercise or the portfolio or the um, or the projects in the portfolio. So basically, I recommend to take all of the drill down exercise and publish them as one portfolio piece, where you say this was part of the school project, and here we did some notifications for a banking app, and there we did some um, adding some friction to a project management tool, and just post it as a single piece in your portfolio. After that, we're going to have a project, which is not going to be a real project. That's going to be after the bootcamp, where you're going to do research, and after that research, you're going to do an e-com store. So that's another case study that you can create. And after that, we're going to work on a real project. So that's another piece in your portfolio. A great example that I really want to recommend is by Sarah Kessler. And this one was built on Webflow, which is a bit more for like technical people. So I don't recommend to do it if you're not that technical. But we can see that Sarah Kessler did for the UX Writing Academy. She created some kind of an e-commerce store, um, and she structured the research part and the design and writing, and then the testing part for a fictional store that she made up, which is pretty cool. After that, Sarah worked on Localized City, which was also part of the UX Writing Academy, and um, and yeah, I know that this specific case study helped her to land two paid gigs. One of them is for a unicorn company, so I recommend to analyze and check it out. She did really great work. She also used iframes and all kinds of cool things to build it. You don't have to do that kind of stuff, but I feel like it's really cool. And to be honest, she published an article about it not that long time ago about how she built that. So I can also share with you um, that article. Let's see if I can find it. Mm-mm-mm. Hmm. Okay, I can't find it right now. I will send it to you afterwards. But this is the portfolio piece that I want you to check out. I think it's really great. Um, and that's about it. So I want to talk about the different tools that you can use to build your portfolio. So this one was built on Webflow, and you have also others that are on Squarespace, as I said before, Wix, WordPress, and so on. So let's talk about the differences. Um, First of all, you're probably familiar with those tools. So who here is familiar with Squarespace? Raise your hand. Okay, so Squarespace and Wix could be similar. Squarespace is more limited in the design that you can put on it, but basically Wix and Squarespace are pretty similar. Squarespace is more limited. Both of them are pretty limited, if you ask me. I don't like using them myself when building websites or portfolio websites. I feel like the time commitment to the design aspect of it is just way too much to handle, so I wouldn't recommend those. Webflow I would recommend, but only for people that know a little bit HTML and CSS. I know that many are not familiar with it, but Webflow is a great tool for people that know how to work with, those classes and boxes and flexbox, which might be Chinese to a few of you and might be clear to a few of you. So it really depends. Um, WordPress is the website that I'm using for the UX Writing Hub, and I'm using a plugin named Elementor. So Elementor is a really cool plugin that you can just put on top of your WordPress website, and then this is kind of a drag and drop builder. um, that you can use. And um, today I want to talk with you about a new alternative approach that I want all of our students to know about. Um, because this is something that you could start doing today without the hassle of like buying a domain, connecting it to your website on Wix or something like that, and then paying money for it. We don't want to pay money for it right now. We just want to structure some kind of a portfolio, and we want it to look nice. We don't want it to be like on Google Docs or something like that. So a really, really cool and I was always preferring the alternative stuff because I know that people could hire you even if you have like PDF documents and you share them on email. If it's good, people will hire you. But in the same time, we do want to make it accessible. We want to make it hosted on some kind of a URL. We don't want to make it complicated for people to find us, and that's why I think there is a few unique solutions. So this is one extremely alternative solution that I don't want to recommend, but it is creative. So we have a Medium, and in Medium, which is an social network for writers, you can build publication. So Orly Gillis, which is a writer that I know from Israel, she created a WordPress publication and she created articles for Medium, and then she submitted those articles to her own publication. And while doing that, she created a portfolio website. I think this is a pretty unique solution. Uh, she worked with like different airline companies. We can see it's a bit dated. It's from 2 years ago, but and that's because she's really busy with work these days. So good for her. But I feel like it's a really creative solution just to show your work. You don't have to pay for it because it's free, Medium. You don't have to pay for host. The only you're really limited with the design aspect of it. But I really don't think that we should care that much about the design aspects for now. Medium design is clean. It's nice. If you go to the article, you'll see how clean and simple it is. And you don't have too much options to model it in like different designs, but that's okay if you ask me. So that's what Oli did. But I feel like another creative solution could be using Notion. So we talked about Notion in the past, and I've seen many Notion portfolios lately, um, just on different websites. So let me just show you the link right here. We share them also in our newsletter as well. But this is just an example how you can set up your portfolio using Notion. Notion is really modular. You can build some kind of a database of your um, articles, um, of the things that you've created. Then you could press it, and then you could see how the works look like. And it's really modular. You can do a lot of changes in it, and it's pretty cool. So that's about that. A really cool person named Zoe Chu created this portfolio tracker. So you could use different like templates to do that. This is stuff that I've found, Aaron and I found lately. So I just want to share it with you to save you time when it comes to setting up your portfolio on Notion. This is another example by a no-code developer that is using Notion to present his work. Is also from Israel, and I think it's pretty cool. It's free, and you don't have to mess with the design. It's going to work on mobile, and you don't have to pay for host. The only disadvantage is that you can't have your own URL. It will be a Notion URL, but I don't think that a future recruiter will see your designed portfolio on Notion, and then they will see that it doesn't have your URL, and they will say it's not good. You know what I mean? It's like it's a URL that you can share, and I feel like it's good. I think it's great, and um, and that's about it. I know that many companies today, like profitable companies that have a lot of money in their bank accounts, using Notion as part of their website. Even when they recruit new person, they will just upload it to Notion and share it on LinkedIn or something like that. So it's not it's not a bad thing to use Notion. So we found another YouTube video that explains step by step how to set up your product design portfolio in Notion. It's relevant also to UX writers, so check it out. And more resources, more resources. So this is an article with the exact same topic in case you don't want to watch that video. And that's about it. So that's about the technical aspects of your portfolio. We haven't talked about the structure of a case study yet, because I don't think that's the right time to do that. But I do think that we should take off the, you know, the idea of investing too much time and effort in the design. Just put your stuff on Notion. You can change it afterwards. We can say it's like Google Docs, only you can change it and it's visually more appealing to people. And even if you decide to build your portfolio afterwards on Webflow, like Sarah did, or on WordPress, or to hard code it yourself, that's okay. But you can use the Notion case studies that you've created and just put them on another website. You have the content. Okay, so that's really support also the agenda of the content first design. So we start with the content first, we throw it on Notion. You can do it also on Google Docs. This is just a recommendation. And only after that, figure out how to set up your website, because I see too many writers these days that are care too much about like how it's going to look, and how can I host a website, and buying a domain, and how can I connect those. I was there too, and it was really complicated for me, and I don't think that's the right time to focus on that. If you know how to do that kind of stuff, that's okay. But in case you're not technical, or you don't consider yourself techies right now, just don't invest too much efforts in that, because I myself, I invested like weeks and weeks and weeks to build some kind of a website using Wix. And, at the end of the day, you change a case study and then you need to break your design, and it's kind of mess around your website afterwards, and you don't want to be there. So what I want you to do right now is to open all of the links that I've just sent, because after we'll close the call, you're not going to have access to them. And that's about it. So this is the first step before your portfolio. This is the research. We're passing it to you. And I'd recommend to start building it on Notion or on a Google Doc. And I'm not working for Notion. They should pay me for doing it, but I'm not affiliated with them by any chance. Which is a bummer, because I could earn money from them, but that's not why I'm doing it. Okay, so that's about that. Any questions? Hey, May.
Not
Hi.
really a question. Not really a question, but I just kind of like want to make like a little remark, because I once took a design course, and my mentor, who's also like a UX designer, she said that a lot of the times things that people are working on in design are like under NDA, and these are like not people are not able to show that online. So like either like sending a PDF to like only like potential hiring managers and not posting anything online. She said that it's a very normal, a very common practice in UX. But I feel like starting out, we don't have anything to vouch for. So at the very least, I feel like getting your name out there, make it public, should help. But now I'm very like sometimes I'm just a bit confused. Like, should I or should I not?
I'm not sure that I understood the question.
So the question, sorry, the question is
All
that
good.
it's kind of like common, like according to what I've heard, it's common for designers to not have to post anything as long as they have like a PDF, like every detailed thing, because like NDAs and stuff.
Mhm.
But the question is that if I'm starting out to like that, like we don't really have that much, and we cannot really find as many clients if we don't put our names out there online. So what do we do if like like we need something to put on our portfolio website, but what if something is under NDA? What if what if we're just not allowed to do it?
All right. So if you're not allowed to do it, I wouldn't recommend you to go and against it because then you people could sue you, and I don't want you to get sued. And what you can do, and I think it's an option with Notion, it's definitely an option with Wix, Squarespace, and all of those. You can have like password protected pages, so you could like share it with specific people and then share with them the password. That's one thing. The other thing is just before you even start the project, let's say that you are just starting out, you're pricing yourself a bit lower than average, and you say, hey, listen, I'm about to do this project right now. I'm just starting out, but in order to build my career, I want to put it in my portfolio. So I need your consent to put it in my portfolio and ask for permission to do that even before you start to do the project and create your discussion about terms before you even start. And that can be a good idea. I can say that you're in good hands with the UX Writing Academy because you are going to do a real project that you're going to have a permission to put it in your portfolio, because that's one of the only rules that we have for the people that gives us project for the UX Writing Academy, is that our students could put that project in their UX Writing portfolio. The second rule is that they're going to implement our student work, so we could have a before and after that they could put in their portfolio as well. So that's about those two. Uh, and before we even start the discussion, we're telling them, listen, this is our rules. And we had to stop communicating with many different great companies that we really wanted our students to have their projects in their portfolios. And they told us, listen, they couldn't do that. And then we had to tell them, hey, we're not going to work with you guys. So uh, that's about it. Did it answer your question?
Yes, perfectly. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, right. You will. I wanted to ask you whether creating mockups on Miro is a good thing or is it something of a handicap, and recruiters will look for a Figma mockup.
At the end of the day, if your mockups look great, it doesn't matter. But I would say that Figma would perceive it as more professional because the tool that most of product teams work with today, like a UI design tool that you hand out to developers and you work in different UX product teams, would be Figma. I personally use Miro more to do the online workshop thing, which is great, by the way, and I think it's really professional, and people like your recruiters would love that. But I also use it to sketch different ideas. And when I need to do the actual wireframes and mockup, I go straight to Figma. Okay, it's not a question of what's more professional than the other; it's how you use it. And because I saw amazing, beautiful mockups using Miro, and I saw really ugly wireframes on Figma. So it doesn't matter like what is the tool that you're currently using. And with that being said, with Notion, you could have integration of your Mira file or of your Figma file. So you could actually put it inside. All right.
I had a question about like for more junior positions, do companies, are they looking for like 2 to 3 projects on in your portfolio, or is there kind of a guideline on the number of or types of projects to include?
I'd say, first of all, you need to put in your portfolio only projects that you're proud of. It's better to have one that you're really, really proud of than 5 that you're like so with them, because it's very natural to just throw all of your work out there and just say, listen, I did that and I did that and I did that and I did that. But we kind of are in love with our own projects, which is not good. We need to just take projects that we're really, really proud of and we think that will get us the job. And even if it's only one, that's better than others. I would say that a good number of projects would be free, because recruiters are going really, really fast on different portfolios. Imagine that they have hundreds of candidates and they just take like a few seconds to scan them, and they have like very specific things that they're looking for. So I wouldn't do more than 3 or 4 that I'm really, really proud of, and not more than that.
Can I ask a follow-up question? Because so yeah, I also read the thing about recruiters only spending like probably not more than a minute or two on just scanning, right? The first impression. But then I read one article by Andrea Druge,
Yeah.
and she was talking about how it was more in depth, like the types of things that she would look for, but it seems like there's 2 layers that you have to get through, right? So um is it that for your portfolio you can kind of have I guess here's the first impression section, and then if you want to go more in depth, here's additional pages that show more your rationale and thought process, that where UX writer in a hiring position would look for that type of information.
So from the first place, I would invest a lot in the 2 use case studies that I'm going to upload with all the rationale and all of that. So the 2 tiers of recruitment could be impressed by it, because we don't know exactly what's going to happen. We don't know if it's going to be 30 seconds of someone looking on a portfolio, or maybe someone recommended us and they actually take 10 minutes to check it out. We don't know that. So definitely invest time and efforts in that. With that being said, I would say that from my personal experience, after passing that first interview, there is some kind of a home assignment or anything like that, that they give you some kind of assignment, and then you'll have to explain your work in a presentation for the recruiters, and then they see your thinking process from that point of view in a later stage, with projects that are more relevant to what they're doing. So let's say that um, there's a company that want to recruit you. They will give you some kind of a challenge. There's a discussion in the community if it's okay or not, or if it's ethical or not to give people those challenges. I'm not sure what's my opinion on that yet, but at the end of the day, it's a great screening process to see like how people approach new projects and that are related to your company. And I would say that after the first tier, that's probably going to be the next step, like that interview where you have to do to show your work, to show your thinking process, to show that kind of stuff. Did it answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Do we still have time for one more question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
So I last year I was an intern at tech company, and I helped conducted user research. So I interviewed users and created a persona. I think that's like a very important thing in UX. However, because it's an internship, it was only like a limited number, like a limited amount of time. So I was not able to like do things afterwards. Like my job sort of like ended with user research before there could be any like before I could take part in anymore. Is it possible to like write a case study with only the things that I did without actually thinking about the impact that it had, only because I was an intern and my time there was limited? Is it still like possible to?
Okay, May. So I think I understood your question. I think it's a common question, so great question. My suggestion in that case would be that in the first paragraph of your case study, and you could see it in the examples that I've shared, add the context. What was your role in that project? Were you an intern? How many people were working on it? What was the structure of the product team? And how did your work impact on the outcome of that project? We don't want to, for example, sometimes you see like on other people portfolios projects like Spotify and Apple, and then you figure out that they just did it by themselves and they didn't work for that company. So it's really important to put context and say, okay, if it's not a real project, so don't say it's a real project, or don't give the illusion that it was a real project. If you were an intern, that's completely fine, but say that you were an intern and be completely honest and transparent about that. And the recruiters are going to really appreciate your honesty in that part, because people tend to lie and exaggerate in their resumes and in their portfolios. And recruiters are used to it. They're used to it. It's not something new. They're really used to it. So we don't want to, so showing them that transparency will give you some extra credit, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other question? Okay. So thank you, everyone. Make sure to open all of the links that we've just shared. And we're going to talk in the future more about like the structure of a portfolio piece. But from all of the examples that we've shared, you can already understand like how the structure should be like. Paragraph explain the context, like I said to May. Something that will be similar to the brief. So what was the brief? What was the requirements? What is a little bit about the company? Before, after, what was the KPIs? Did we met with our goals? If yes, great. If not, why? If you have that data, sometimes you don't have that data. You do a project and then you don't know what happens, which is okay. But from now on, whenever you take a project, try to also track and follow up with the outcome of it, because that's what people care about today. Like, not about your writing project, but how it impacted the whole company, the whole website, whole product. Okay, so that's about it for today. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Yuva.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank
Ciao.
you. Bye.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks. Bye.